What's up guys? It's your Curly Patch here, and today may good news ako, dumating na yung parts. However, hindi ko nagawa ng proper build video yung water cooling kit na to kasi I was too focused on making it. Kaya medyo hindi ko nagawa. In short, hindi ko nagawa. Pero pag-usapan natin kung ano yung naging performance ng water cooling kit na to na na-assemble ko. And yung total price nito, well, under 5K. Now, disclaimer, prices may have changed sa time na binili ko yung mga parts na to. Pero, I think hanggang ngayon around 5K pa rin yung magiging build na to. I'll put down the links below sa mga parts na ginamit ko as well. And, tingnan natin kung ano yung naging performance ng water cooling kit na nagawa ko. Let's go! Okay, so simulan na natin to. There will be several parts para sa video na to. Maglalagay din ako ng timestamps below if you wanna skip it down. Our first part will of course be yung parts list natin. Disclaimer, the parts prices may have changed from the time na binili ko sila, pero most likely naman hindi. Second would be yung design ng ating ng ating water cooling kit, kung paano natin siya i-flow out or rather paano natin siya i-pattern out. And third one is yung let's say yung ating performance pagdating sa mga parts, yung short review kung gaano kaganda yung mga parts na nakuha natin for this. And the fourth one would be performance ng ating actual performance ng water cooling kit natin na to, kung gaano kaganda yung nakuha natin sa performance na to. And lastly, is my recommendation kung either you should go with this kind or if meron pang makakuha na iba na masulit, or if you should just go with an air cooling or an AIO. So, let's go and start sa ating first part. So, I'll be putting out the list down here below. Oh, saan ba natin ka? Dito. Yan, maganda dyan. I'll be putting out the Shopee carts. Yes, Shopee carts tayo. Ng mga dito para makita nyo. So, for our CPU block was actually an AM4 socket block. So, specifically for AM4 sockets to. So, if you're gonna be using a different kind of socket, mabibili naman kayong iba nun. And one more thing na maganda sa... One more thing na maganda sa ating naging build na to is we were actually able to afford adding a water flow for it as well. Now, may kulang ako sa makikita nyo, mapapansin nyo rather, may kulang ako sa kit na ginawa ko or binuo ko is wala akong drain valve, which is something na I can manage without of. Meron akong siphon na pwede kong gamitin. Actually, pwede mo din gamitin yung sa mga fish tanks na siphon na maliliit para dito, and kasama din siya sa part ng pag-design ko na makikita nyo later on kung paano ko in-implement. Okay, move on naman tayo sa second one natin, sa design. So, yung ating water reservoir was actually big. Now, pag i-combine mo siya sa ating water pump, makikita mong halfway, parang makukubera na niya yung ram slot, which is just fine. Kasya naman siya sa loob. It would have been fine, but there was some issues and I'm gonna be going on into that later. And next one is we're gonna be going with hard tubes. Yes, para sa ating kit na to, actually na-afford natin makapag hard tubes. Usually under this or yung mga China kits na nakikita nyo provides you with soft tubing with the advantage na may nakukuha ka ding GPU block. I-share ko din later on. Ba't ba kung gano'n na gano'n? Dito tayo. I will share it later on here. Pero this one, syempre, mas maganda, di ba? Pag naka-hard tube na tayo. Mas maganda yung aesthetics na makukuha natin. Nice. Anyways, so we went with a hard tube here. If you are good enough pagdating sa bending, you actually just need at least 3 of these tubes. I used 4 kasi kailangan ko ng extra for in case ng practice trial ko as well as para matest out ko yung water pump, yung pump saka reservoir natin. Okay, so sa third one, pag-usapan naman natin yung performance ng parts na napili natin for this. First and foremost, pag-usapan natin yung pump kasi doon ako nagkaroon ng issue. Nung trinay out ko yung pump, there was actually leakage na na-experience ko doon sa pump na yon. I had to do some DIY. Yung leak naman niya is actually fixable, pero I would not recommend getting a pump doon sa Shopee list na pinagkuhaan ko. There are other pumps na pwede nyong pagkuhaan. Yung leaks niya kasi is actually malakas yung naging leak niya, and to repair it, binaklas ko pa siya, as well as I replaced the O-ring, as well as naglagay ako ng ginagamit sa gasket sa mga kotse na sealant para matatag yung seal. So most likely hindi ko na mababaklas yung pump na yon. And next one is reservoir. Maiisip nyo na naka-SFF case ako, pero gumamit ako na napakalaking reservoir. It's actually to compensate na naka 120 ml radiator lang tayo. The more coolant na magagamit natin, syempre, mas matagal siya bago mag-reach ng max temps niya. And yung 120 ml na rad natin, I was actually impressed sa temps na nakuha natin. I'll show it later on to you. Kaya, hence the design na gumamit ako ng malaking reservoir. Also, you might think, bakit nasa labas? What's the point of going with an SFF pero maglalagay ka ng malaking dyan sa labas? Well, the water pump's vibration was actually too strong. Pag kinabit mo sa Molex yung ating pump, itong buong NR200 na to, and itong NR200P na to, talagang mararamdaman mo yung vibration hanggang sa lamesa. Sobrang lakas compared sa pag nakalagay siya sa labas na may kasamang vibration pads, and as well as naka PWM siya ngayon, kaya maintainable, pero nakakatakot na ilagay mo siya dyan then maging prone sa leak, edi babay na agad lahat ng PC natin. Pero as well as medyo bored ako tingnan yung mga water reservoir na nasa loob, kaya I tried to explore a bit. Pag na bored ka, mag-explore ka, nilagay ko din siya sa labas. So to mitigate din yung vibration na nakukuha mo sa water pump na ubod ng lakas, laglagay ako ng mga vibration pads. Well, DIY na lang din. Actually, gumamit lang ako ng mga rubber pads na ginagamit dun sa mga upuan. Yun lang yung ginamit kong ng vibration pads. Pag without it, mararamdaman mo talagang yung PC mo, kaya nakakatakot. Okay. So, yun lang yung actual concern ko. Yung water flow natin was actually okay. If you're gonna be using a distilled water lang, yung clear lang, di mo ma-appreciate, or rather, kung gagamit ka ng coolant, my bad, yung colored na coolant na tulad ng sa akin, hindi mo ma-appreciate yung water flow kasi makukubera na ng kulay ng coolant yung water flow mo. Pero pag naka-distilled ka, it would be clear and makikita mo ganun yung water flow mo. Okay, so pag-usapan naman natin yung naging performance ng CPU kit na to, nung water cooling kit na to na binuo ko. It was actually satisfying for me, seeing na naka 120 ml rad lang tayo, and na-compensate naman kahit papaano ng reservoir natin yung temps. Now, I'm gonna be placing a graph right here. There, a graph right there para makita nyo kung ano yung naging performance natin, as well as maglalagay ako ng Cinebench testing para makita nyo yung live temps na nakukuha ng CPU natin habang nag-render tayo sa ating Cinebench. Now, we reached minimum sa idle temps natin. Pinakamababa natin na reach is actually 34 degrees. And by the way, i-add on ko lang, my CPU is a Ryzen 7 2700X and I underclocked my CPU. Pag naka-stock settings to, it actually goes to 4.1 to 4.3. 4.1 to 4.2, my bad, sometimes 4.3. Pero naka-underclock ako. I'm running it at constant 4 GHz all throughout. Naka 4 yan. So, hindi siya bumababa ng 3.7 or hindi siya umakyat ng 4.3. Pero consistent siyang naka 4 GHz all throughout this time. Now, nakuha nating times ng naka-idle siya is 34 degrees at minimum, and nung Cinebench score tayo, yung highest temp na natin sa water cooling kit na to is actually 65 degrees. Now, I was actually impressed na nakita ko yun. Naka-full load na yung CPU mo doon, and you get a 65 degrees. And pag naglaro naman tayo, the temps are not that far. We're reaching at around 48 at maximum sa ating temperatures. The games that I played on it were actually Valorant, what was that? Little Nightmares. We also played a Kurt spell on it. Of course, di mawawala yung Kurt spell. And yung ating maximum temps were actually sustainable. So, medyo na-impress ako sa performance nung nakuha natin. And by the way, before I forget, if you're gonna be following this, na gagawa ka ng ganitong sarili mong kit, I would suggest na you make sure yung CPU block mo and yung radiator mo is the same, na parehong copper kung copper, aluminum kung aluminum, kasi para ma-prevent yung corrosion na something you can read on pag nag-ano ka sa CPU block. Okay, so finally, pag-usapan naman natin kung recommended ba or is it worth it na to go through all this hassle para makuha yung ganito or mag-air cooling ka na lang and whatnot. Honestly, yung performance na nakuha natin is just similar to the air coolers. I was actually using, or rather sa charts na present ko earlier, I was actually using a Jones Bow fan, air cooler, pero pinalitan ko yung fan niya with the IS40 air cooler na fan, and yung temps nila weren't actually that full. Don't their temps were actually not that far from apart. Now, however, maganda tingnan eh. Di ba maganda tingnan? Water cooling kang ganyan, di ba? Well, of course, there's the risk na paano kung nagka-leaks and whatnot, pero maganda naman tingnan eh. Anyways, as I said earlier, there's actually a kit na pwede nyong bilhin din na nasa Shopee. Around 4,000 lang. Pwede pa ako dito pala. I'll put a Shopee rider. Well, ang disadvantage lang nung kit na to na nakita ko is, one, it's not really a disadvantage, pero personal preference is it's soft tube. Something na medyo for me, medyo boring gawin compared sa hard tubes dahil magbe-bending ka pa. Then as well as its Intel socket. Yung kit na to is preferably not preferably, but rather it's definitely for Intel builds lang. However, you have the advantage of getting a free GPU block as well for it. Now, nasa sayo na kung gusto mo i-try yun or not. The parts na ginamit ko is actually similar lang din dun sa parts nila na nasa kit. Pwera na lang na nabawasan ng GPU block as well as pinalitan yung soft tubes ng hard tubes, and mayroon akong extra water flow. So, let me know kung sa tingin nyo worth it ba talaga, or bumili ka na lang ng actually air cooler na at that price. Ano ba pwede mo mabili? Pwede ka bumili ng sa Noctua, pwede ka bumili ng sa IB Cooling, meron din nung ano ba tawag sa mga? Well, among those, yung Arctic, pwede din yung sa Arctic, pero Noctua would seem like to be the best one for it. Pero, guys, it looks good! Well, something you should know is pag nag-water cooling ka talaga, it's more of an enthusiast part na hindi ka talaga makakaano. Well, even if manood ka nang sa mga videos ng ibang, makikita mo na hindi naman ganun ka-practical mag-water cooling, pero it looks good. Sarap kaya tingnan sa mata, di ba? Gising ka, tingin ka, water cooling PC ko, ulala. Anyways, what I'm actually just happy about this water cooling kit na ginawa ko is, or rather binuo ko, is that with a 120 mil fan, nagawa natin na maka-attain ng ganitong temps for it, which is actually acceptable for me. However, I think I'll underclock it a bit more para mag-under 60 degrees tayo at max loads. I know it will be reducing the CPU's capability at most, kaya pag-iisipan ko muna yan. Pero guys, water cool under 5K? Pwede na! Well, hindi. Well, hindi naman sa hindi. Pero, there are actually kits ng mga known brands as well. Deepcool actually, may nirelease actually yung Deepcool na kit nito, around 9 to 10K yata. Na definitely made para sa NR200. If you have the money and if you want na talagang trusted brands yung gamitin mo, I would recommend getting that kit for your PC. Ang alam ko naka 240 mil rad na din yun. And I think you'll have to make it a top rad configuration, as well as you're gonna be using an SFX power supply, kasi pag gagamitin mo yung large SFX na nakataas dun sa taas, I think may hirapan kang i-configure yun. Anyways, hopefully, stop moving. Hopefully, nagustuhan nyo yung video na to, and let me know kung ano yung, let me know kung sa tingin nyo willing ba kayo, or kung gusto nyo gumawa ng mga ganito ng under 5K lang, or if you wanna be a bit more practical and save a lot more and just go with an air cooling or an AIO. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you. Magkakalaw ng galaw. I'll see you on the next one. Patch out.